Okay, everyone. Now we're going to touch a bit. We're going to touch upon some security for our newly created website. Security is one of your top priorities when it comes to a web-facing service, such as WordPress, a website, or anything like that. If you've seen the news, online attacks are becoming more and more popular, and it is the responsibility of the administrator, in this case you, to make sure that your system is secure as much as possible. Now, we're not going to go into deep concepts and things like that in this course, because this course is not centralized all around security, but we are going to touch upon at least the best practices for securing your server. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do is enable a firewall. Okay, because as you notice, we don't have an active firewall on this server. So the first thing we'll do is type in sudo. Okay, and there's already a built-in firewall that comes with Ubuntu called Ufw Uncomplicated Firewall, which is off by default, and we just configure the rules that we want to allow. So we want to allow HTTP. Okay. Okay, and now we also want to allow SSH traffic to get into our server. Well, just in case you have a question in your mind, like, why is Sean doing this? Why are we doing this, right? Well, we want to allow HTTP traffic because we want traffic from outside my server to reach the server and allow my firewall to say, okay, HTTP traffic is allowed. And of course, SSH, because we want to be able to modify and change the settings of our server, and we use SSH to do that. Now, once we've done that, you can do sudo Ufw enable. Okay, you get a little warning saying that it might disrupt existing SSH connections. Okay, usually if you allow SSH, it normally never does, and then just hit Y to allow, and now the firewall is active. Now, a firewall works by analyzing the traffic that comes into the server. So the firewall then opens up the little packets and says, what's this port, what's the traffic destined for, to what port? So a firewall works by identifying what ports the traffic is coming in, but then it goes even more advanced than that. For instance, how much of traffic is coming in, at what interval is it coming in. We're not going to touch on those stuff, but it's definitely recommended that you do learn on more of the cybersecurity and network security concepts, because it is very valuable. Okay, now that we've now that we've enabled our firewall, it's time to put in an antivirus. Okay, so a very popular antivirus for Ubuntu is called Clam AV. So we'll do sudo apt-get install Clam AV and hit Y to install that. Okay, now Clam antivirus data is already installed, and there's already an updater. So to update Clam antivirus, you do sudo fresh clam, and then this will download all the updates for the antivirus. Okay. It does take a little bit, but this is getting all the signatures. Okay, and so for time purposes, I'll just pause the video for now. Okay, now we have a up-to-date antivirus, and to do a scan, you can do sudo clam scan -r/, and so R is for recursive, and then it'll go ahead and do its scan. So this is a fresh install, so I'm not actually going to complete the scan, but I just wanted to illustrate to you this is how you do it. Slash means root, which means the main directory of the installation of Linux. So I've stopped that. Now another thing that we want is a rootkit detector. So you can do sudo apt-get install rkhunter, which is rootkit hunter, and then hit Y, and then this installs. So now this will ask some questions. Is this an internet site? Is it internet with smart host, which is like an email relay? So no, it's just an internet site. Okay, and now we'll ask for the system name. That's just hit OK because we want to use it. Okay. Okay, now that rkhunter has been installed, you can run it. So sudo rkhunter -- check now. Or sorry, -- check. And then it'll go ahead and do the scan just like Clam Antivirus, but we're not going to go through the whole scan. So now that we have an antivirus, a firewall, and Rootkit Hunter, what we want now is to prevent against brute force password attempts. What's a brute force password attempt, you ask? Well, some hackers create scripts to automate, to automatically go out on the internet, find IPs where servers have SSH behind that, and then constantly brute force the username and passwords until they can find a combination that might be that might actually work for a particular server. So for instance, if you use the password admin and if you use the username admin and password 123, well, the thing is that admin is a very common username and 123 is a very weak password. So a password cracker app could probably find that in as little as an hour. Now, the one way to also battle against weak passwords is to also have it where an attacker would have to spend a lot of time even to only try 2 or 3 password combos. And this way it slows them down. So to do that, we have an application called fail to ban. So sudo apt-get install fail to ban and hit Y to install this small application. And what fail to ban does, and just even out of the box without any additional configuration, is that after 6 attempts on your server, it will ban the IP address of the person trying to access the account for 600 seconds. Now to change this, you can do cd/etc/fail to ban, and then if you list, there's various files in here. You want to modify the fail to ban.conf, and if you look inside this file, there is certain options that you have. Okay, as a matter of fact, I'm sorry, the file that we want to edit is jail.conf, and in jail.conf you'll see the ban time is 600 seconds and it's set max retry is 3 times, not 6. So they've changed it. Okay. So some people choose to have it where it's banned after 600 seconds, sometimes 6,000, sometimes a lot longer. It all depends on you. Okay, and now fail to ban also has other plugins. So this is for SSH. Okay, now if I come down, we have for HTTP. Okay, so for certain traffic and certain attempts against your HTTP server, then this can definitely help. Okay. So now that we've protected the now we've protected against viruses, a firewall, we've protected against some bots and some rootkits. Now we also want to protect against some SQL attacks. So what to do that, you'll do sudo mysql underscore secure underscore installation. And what this is a little script that allows you to make certain changes for the security of SQL. So do you want to change your root password? Say no, for me anyways. Do I want to remove anonymous users? Yes, I do. Do I want to allow people to remotely log in? No. And do I want to remove a test database? Yes. Okay, and then you'll say yes to reload the table, and then that's one extra step to prevent issues with security on MySQL. Now again, we're not going to go comprehensively into all of these settings, into all the things that you can do, but I definitely encourage you again to take some time to learn about each one of these and how to best use them. Okay, now we're just going to learn a couple of other things to secure a server. Okay, so the next thing that we'll learn is how to add some Apache modules. One called Mod Evasive. Mod Evasive, it prevents against certain denial of service attacks. What's a denial of service attack? Denial of service attack is a way to flood a server with traffic that's normally bogus. Normally it is to bog down a server or saturate the internet link that it's connected to and attempt to bring down the server. Now it can be accomplished in different ways. One, I can flood a link with traffic and there's no space on the link for legitimate traffic to get through, or I can send very little traffic but more CPU intensive traffic and crash the server. So I'm gonna pause the video now and I'll continue it in a moment here. Okay, so now we're going to install Mod Evasive. Okay, so Mod Evasive, in order to install it, you'll do sudo apt-get lib apache 2 -mod evasive. Okay. Now it'll automatically install, and as you can see, it's already enabled Mod Evasive, and it's now restarting the web server. So now Mod Evasive is already installed. Now what we want to do is modify some files, modify some settings rather, for Mod Evasive. So Mod Evasive's configuration file is located at etc/apache2/mods-available/modevasive.conf. Okay. Now what we're going to do, we need to modify this here. It's actually mods enabled, then mod evasive. -conf. Okay. So again, if I went too fast, they made a change to one of the new versions of Mod Evasive. So because when you install it, it automatically gets enabled. Then it's under mods enabled, and now instead of mod-evasive, it's just evasive. Okay. So now what you'll see here is that the pound signs or the hashtags here automatically tell the application that this is commented out. So what we want to do is uncomment this, and for the most part the default settings are okay. Okay, so now what we'll also need to do is create a directory here for Mod Evasive. So I'll show you in a minute how to do that. So you hit Control O, Control X, and then we go to cd var log. Okay. Then we can go back here, and it says mod_evasive. So it's looking to write to a file named Mod Evasive. So you can do touch mod evasive. That way, Mod Evasive has a file to write its messages to. Okay, so now that Mod Evasive has been installed, it's time to test it. How do you test it? Well, there is a application. Sorry, it's more of a script that you can download off the internet. It's called testevasive.pl. And in order for this to run, it's pretty simple. Okay. I use it to test my own site. So for here, the peer address, instead of, for instance, SeanMancini.com, you put in the IP that you want to test against. Okay. Let me just get my IP again. Now to run this script, you do perl testevasive.pl. So now you see what happens here is that this application brute forces my the web server that we just built. And now what happens here is that at first the server responds to repeated requests, and then it starts blocking them. This is how we block certain types of brute force attacks. Okay. So definitely Mod Evasive should be one of the first things, one of the basic security tools that you have on your server. Okay. Now the rest is best practices. Best practices are having a password that is strong. Making sure that you keep up to date with all your patches. So you know your sudo apt-get upgrade, making sure that it's all up to date. And then from then on, I encourage you to continue reading up on network security. There are tons of subjects on where you need to go. Now I'll touch base on some WordPress specific security. So we'll log back into our WordPress. Okay. And so a couple of security options for WordPress that make it a bit easier for you to manage. Some of them are already installed. So for instance, one is called a Kismet. Now what a Kismet is a tool to prevent spam on your blog. So you can just click activate, follow the instructions, very simple to install, very simple to follow to get a Kismet running, which will block, like I say, past spam against your blog. Now another plugin that you can install is called WordFence. Okay, so in order to install a new plugin, you just you scroll over to add new, and then you can easily just search WordFence. Now what WordFence is a application based firewall. Now the application based firewall will look for traffic from different countries and stuff like that, where you can block traffic from coming in from those countries. You can block attempts against certain users and stuff like that. Now, in order to install plugins, you need an FTP server that you install on your server. Now, in order to do that, it's really simple, and we'll go over it. Now, in order to do that, you can do sudo apt-get install vsftpd, which stands for Very Secure File Transfer Protocol Daemon. Now, once it's installed, you just go to etc and then modify a file called vsftpd.conf, and you want to enable two different things, which one is already enabled for local enable, and then write enable. Local enable allows local users to log in, and write enable allows us to create directories and write to them. Okay. Then you do a command sudo service vsftpd restart. Okay, and that just restarts the service so that it's all nice and fresh. Okay, there is one more thing that we do have to do. Let's go back to our var HTML, and if you go to ls-la, you can see the owner of this file is root. That is no good. Although the site's working just fine, we need a user called www-data to own these files. Why? Well, because Apache uses www-data user account to run in the background, and if we don't have access to this file, that means that we're going to run into problems later on. So it's very simple. We can do sudo chown -r for recursive www-data www-data space asterisk. Okay, and I'm sorry, the R is capital R. Now if we do ls-la, you see that www-data now owns the directory, and our site still working just fine. Okay, so now in order to log in and make our changes, because we want to add a plugin, you can just click add new under plugins, WordFence, install now, and now the plugin automatically gets installed. So we're gonna go through. I'm not gonna give you a full tutorial of WordFence, but WordFence, the free edition, anyways, you can block certain IPs. You can block by country. You can see live traffic. So this makes it very simple. If you're not a security person, but you want to keep your site secure, for WordPress at least, definitely use this plugin. I use it myself, aside from all my other security features, and it works great. I believe it's $40 a year, and definitely recommend it. Okay, so that's pretty much our brief overview of security. Again, not comprehensive at all, and I do encourage you to continue reading, continue looking into how to better secure your server. The next section is we're going to speak about logging and getting logs from your server, getting notifications when things might be going wrong, and a little bit of troubleshooting. So see you soon.